Namaste. We celebrate the birth of Lord Krishna as Janmashtami. Lord Krishna was born in prison. From there, Lord Krishna spread the light. In other words, we can enjoy the light and be free only if God appears in the dark and cramped prison, which is our heart. That is, when Krishna is born in the vault of our heart, man is saved. Lord Krishna was born as the 8th child of goddess Devaki. Samadhi is the 8th stage in the Ashtanga Yoga. Samadhi means equal intellect. That is, a state where differences, preferences, and all the emotions are vanished. When we arrive in a situation equivalent to that, Krishna is born in our consciousness. The moment Sri Krishna was born, the chains that bound his father broke. The locked doors opened. The prison gods were engrossed in the ocean of pleasure. The fire of hatred burning in them was quenched. Why? Wisdom was born there, and that eradicated ignorance and darkness. It was raining at the time as well. The sky rained drops to soften the soil, pressing down the dust. We usually say, rains during any graceful event is very auspicious. It purifies the atmosphere by suppressing the impure dust that fills the atmosphere. As per the revelation from the sky, Vasudeva carried the baby in a basket on his head, and when he came out of the prison, a donkey cried to signify good fortune. Fearing that it would wake the gods, Vasudeva placed the basket on the ground, held the child's feet with both hands, and prayed to the child to put the god to sleep. That was the depth of his devotion. Although Kamsa killed many of Gokul's children, Krishna did not catch his eye. In order to avert the death of many children in the family pierced Lord Krishna's ear and nose and put a gold ring on his nose. There was a small pearl in that ring on the nose. The pearl is submerged in the depths of the sea. This pearl is a symbol of the wisdom gained by sinking into the secrets of the world. Why put it on the tip of the nose? It emphasizes the need to meditate on the nostrils. And when we talk about the gopi mark on the forehead of Lord Krishna, as a child, his parents used to draw a musk line in the middle of Lord Krishna's forehead, as he belonged to the Vaishnava caste. The boys who did cattle grazing used to draw like that in that times. Krishna wore silver bracelets on his wrists. There is a ritual that every Hindu should wear a bracelet on the wrist before undertaking any sacred endeavor such as performing a yajna, taking a vow, or entering a new phase in life. It is the oath or a symbol of a resolute that will be paid off in the stage of life's functions. Lord Krishna has made 3 vows, and the first one was Dharma Samsthapanarthaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge, in order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I advent myself millennium after millennium. Second, Yogakshemam Vahamyaham. Krishna says that he'll take care of the material and spiritual needs of those who constantly think of him without thinking of anything else. Third, Moksha Ishyami Mashucha. Just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. I'll protect everyone and will make free from the cycle of birth and death. Krishna says, when I promise this, no one is given special consideration on the strength of scholarship, age, or caste. Krishna was like an ordinary person among human beings, and his divine love persuaded them to obey his commandments and instructions. He didn't wish to adorn himself with conch, wheel, the pavadand, lotus, etc., which are the display of his status. Even he was reluctant to wear the crown. As a child, he wore only a cloth around his head. With that, he would go to forest with cows. There were as many peacocks around Vrindavan and Gokul as there are today. One day, When Kanna saw a fallen feather, he picked it up and inserted it between the folds of the cloth on his head. It was one of those greatest times where he would break into endless soliloquy with himself. From the time Krishna lay in the cradle until the end of his life on earth, he had to face constant obstacles. Personal hatred, baseless accusations, and insults followed Krishna at every step of his life. Attempts were made to arrest and kill Krishna, but the truth prevailed. The wicked tried to brutally oppress the beloved devotees like Prahlada in order to humiliate Bhagavan. But when the pious bravely endured those challenges, it was the wicked who suffered the humiliating defeat. Prahlad's popularity increased. Of the Supreme, the truth is beautifully established. These evil people did not give peace to Krishna's parents, friends, and devotees. But Krishna always protected his devotees from them. In the Dwapara Yuga, ordinary women and men in the Gokul had not studied the sciences. No fast was observed. They did not visit any temple. It is only that form and name of Krishna with whom they walked and were enshrined in the temple of heart. They too were saved. When Draupadi was humiliated in the royal court, it was not the brave husbands who called for help. Draupadi knew that Krishna was his closest relative, sword and shield. A few years later, Draupadi asked Krishna, "Why was it so late when I cried for help?" Krishna said to repeat the words she used during that painful moment. Draupadi called Gopi Hridayavasi, Vrindavanavasi, Dwarakavasi, etc. Krishna explained, "Draupadi, you sent the prayer to the wrong address. Me, with your words, had to travel to all these places before reaching to you. If I had been called the inhabitant of your heart, I would have appeared at that moment." The message of celebrations like Sri Krishna Jayanti itself should be to find the truth contained in these stories and legends. Indian festivals and holy days are organized to showcase the glory and character of Indian culture. All these festivals have a profound meaning and purpose. These holidays and festivals are celebrated to celebrate the birthdays of incarnations or saints and to symbolize the destruction of the forces of evil and wickedness. Legends, remembrance, and honor reminds us how we did this in order to eliminate the evil forces of antiquities. Krishna cannot be defeated. He is always holy, the ever-shining power, the beacon of fame. Evil thoughts of his reputation will harm only those who humiliate him. None of this affects Lord Krishna in the slightest. Lord Krishna's reputation only increases 100-fold with each challenge. People in every age have tried to spread propaganda as they could not bear the fame of the incarnations. Therefore, their glory has increased with each passing age. Their messages are widespread. The actions of the wicked brought global fame to the greatness of the incarnation. Such incidents are still happening today, but we must do sadhana with full confidence, assurance, enthusiasm, joy, and without the slightest hesitation. Ideologues say that, in turn, wandering dogs see their shadow in the water and start barking. Hearing this, all the dogs in the region assemble there and start barking. The bark of the first dog is from ignorance. After hearing the first growl, the others began to growl. It is a fear that is built on a mistake. This story continues today in the new age and appearance. Devotees were immovable in the Krishna era. Gurus tell us to be courageous and calm. Praise and reproach do not affect Lord Krishna. His joy and peace never diminish. Where there is prema, Bhagavan is there. That is why when the trumpet of catastrophe was heard from the ranks of those who were impatient for the war, Lord Krishna sang the Bhagavad Gita. When we say love here, we do not mean it in today's colloquial language. Love is the feeling of seeing everything as equal. That love is God Lord Krishna himself. Namaste.